the 1600s in France, there was a monk called Brother Lawrence whose thoughts and conversations were put together into a book called The Practice of the Presence of God. The blurb on the dust jacket of my 1956 copy says, "Brother Lawrence did nothing more sensational than to walk with God about a monastery kitchen for some 40 years. I think I was drawn to Brother Lawrence initially through this description. After all, a lot of my time does seem to be spent in the kitchen. What I came to love about Brother Lawrence is his resolution to be governed by love and to make the love of God the purpose of all his actions. He knew that it takes discipline to form a habit of ongoing conversation with God, but he rejected the formality of devotion and set prayer, and instead focused on simply paying attention to God in everyday life. He said, 'The time of business does not with me differ from the time of prayer, and in the noise and clutter of my kitchen, while several persons are at the same time calling for different things, I possess God in as great tranquillity as if I were upon my knees at the Blessed Sacrament.'" In more recent years, Henri Nouwen was deeply affected by his reading of Brother Lawrence, and went on to say that this practice of the presence of God is not just a nice idea for a 17th century monk, but a most important challenge to our present-day life situation. This comment from Nouwen really resonates with me. One of the gifts I have begun to unwrap for myself in this lockdown period is the opportunity to find and create meaning in everyday things, to practice more diligently an awareness of my spirituality, and to recognise the presence of God in ordinary life. For 30 years it's always been an intention of mine, but I haven't always been as focused as I could have been in pursuing it. It's particularly good for us, I think, in times of challenge and uncertainty, to be able to take a moment wherever we are and whatever we're doing, to tune into that force of love and goodness that infuses the universe, offering up our thoughts and feelings, whatever they may be, and being open to receive something back in turn, an encouragement, a new perspective, or just a sense that someone somewhere hears us. It's good to cultivate an awareness of otherness in all manner of ways, not least so that we're not too tempted to think and act as though we're the centre of the universe and everything else must surely revolve around us. So in my kitchen over the weekend, I was engaging in the chemistry that is fudge making. All baking is chemistry, I know, but I think fudge is particularly hands-on and obvious. You can actually see the chemical reactions taking place. I have a recipe that is ambitiously called Never Fails Fudge Recipe, and so far I can agree with it. But it does need time. I have to set aside at least an hour to make it. You can't rush it, and you have to devote your whole attention to it. On Saturday, I did put the laptop next to the stove to try and do a couple of emails while it was at the simmer and stir occasionally for 40 minutes stage. But I had to keep at least one eye and one hand on it all the time. It's amazing to think that with just 4 ingredients, some added energy and plenty of patience, care and attention, you can end up with something delicious and yet altogether different from the separate elements that went into it. So as I was stirring, I was thinking about the different groups that I've been involved with at different times in my life, and about the church and how fantastic all these things can be when the chemistry works. The thing is, the ingredients that go in need to be prepared to be changed and transformed. When I combine butter, condensed milk, sugar and milk to make fudge, it only works because none of those ingredients stays the same. They each bring something different, and they become something different, something tastier and better, and you can't eat a piece of fudge and pinpoint the bit that is the butter or the bit that is the milk. And groups don't work if you have 1 or 2 people who try to dominate and tell everyone else what to do, and who are not prepared to give away everything in order to be transformed. I think Jesus understood this. He took time with people. He gave them care and attention, but he also knew that they needed to be prepared to be changed and transformed. They had to want it, or at the very least to be willing to engage with it. And we can read in the Bible of occasions when Jesus let people walk away from him because the price of transformation was too costly for them. There was an extra ingredient in my fudge making on Saturday, a double portion of love. Love for my family goes into all my kitchen experiments, but this time I was making the fudge for a specific and extra special purpose. In order to send some to my brother-in-law for his birthday this week, and to send some to my son Dom and his girlfriend Abby, who are living far away and have had a really difficult time over the last couple of weeks. And I knew that I had to save some for my family here too. So as I stirred, I thought about all the people in my family who I love, and especially all the ones who are far from me at the moment. I willed more of my love, more of myself, into that fudge. I thought about love as that most generous gift of God to the whole of creation, that force that connects us and holds us together, that wants to bring out the best in each other, that's strong enough to give us space to grow and to change. It can't be taken from us, but must be given freely. When we love, we're prepared to lose everything we think we have. We're ready to give it all away, only to find that in so doing we receive so much more than we can give. In love, we learn more fully who we are and why we are and what is our purpose. There's too much in life and in the church that masquerades as love but secretly seeks to dominate and control and serve its own purpose. I'm fed up with the pretense of that, and this lockdown has given me the opportunity to say that I don't want anything to do with it anymore. Like Brother Lawrence, today I want to commit myself again to choose to be governed by love, real love, and to make love the motivation and the goal of all my actions. I want to cultivate the habit of simply paying attention so that I can see God, whose name is love, as the foundational ingredient in my life today, whatever the recipe might be.